Hello YouTube. This is a somewhat tardy response to Labarum312's Facepalm challenge. He wanted us to mention the atheist and Christian arguments which we consider most disappointing. Now I'm going to mention the Christian argument first, and I'm essentially going to label it belief based upon empiricism. This is something which I've seen come up with a lot of self-styled apologists on YouTube. Basically making statements like, I'm a Christian because I accept the cosmological argument and I accept the historicity of the Gospels. Now, the reason why I consider this most disappointing is the very reductive view toward the Gospels themselves. Because what usually goes hand in hand with this very forensic view of the Gospels is that if the discrepancies between the Gospels are acknowledged at all, they're usually written off as simply differences in perspective among eyewitness testimony, or that the Gospel writers were simply not inerrant in recording their versions of events. And also a very strict view of the Gospels as chronological records of events which happened exactly as outlined in Jesus' life. No, I can't accept that. And if that were to be argued with me, I would ask the apologist to just stop right there. The Gospels are religious narratives which have been carefully constructed to convey the ideas which the authors considered most important. And I think that a particular passage at the beginning of the Gospel of Luke may best describe the environment in which the Gospels we have were produced. So I'm going to read Luke 1, verses 1 through 4. Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of the things that have been accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered them to us, it seemed good to me also, having followed all things closely from some time past, to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, that you may have certainty concerning the things you have been taught. So, if this is to be taken seriously, it seems that the Gospel of Luke was written at a time when many other Gospel narratives already existed. And the reason why this Gospel is being written is because of verse 4, that it was written to provide certainty concerning the things which had been taught. It's conveying the ideas which the author considered most important. And if that's not what the writer of the Gospel of Luke intended by making this statement, and that they actually want to claim that they've written, a chronological, forensic account of events in Jesus' life, there's very serious problems with that view. And I do find it very peculiar that the Christian apologists on YouTube, who also happen to be Orthodox proselytes, are taking this approach to the Gospels. I may end up recording a couple videos in the near future which would display some very egregious errors by the writer of the Gospel of Luke, and also the same writer in the Acts of the Apostles, when it comes to creating something which is historically accurate. And I think that Christians who want to pretend that the Gospels can be relied upon in that way are setting their faith up for failure in the future if they're going to rely on that kind of empiricism for their belief, rather than having the faith strong enough to try to reason through the discrepancies and the discordant voices in the New Testament which actually exist. Now, the atheist argument, which is most disappointing to me, is atheists who attempt to tell Christians whether they're being a true Christian or not. You know, this usually happens after asking for a particular Christian's beliefs, and then some kind of value judgment is pronounced upon their beliefs. You know, like atheists who will attempt to claim that, you know, Christians cannot be okay with homosexuality and remain a Christian, or Christians who don't believe in eternal hellfire. They aren't real Christians. I find that whole approach very counterproductive because it seems to be done very disingenuously. And, you know, I think the only criterion which I can have for gauging whether someone is a Christian or not is because they say they are. So those are the two most disappointing arguments and approaches for me from the Christian and the atheist side of things. So thank you for allowing me to participate in this discussion, and I'll talk to everyone later.